Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. Something came up in the hiking news recently that I want to talk about, and that would be the broader topic of recognition when you're hiking. What does it mean to you, and is that why you're doing it? And this was stemmed by the recent news that's being reported in places like The Trek, Backpacking Magazine, a lot of places that are both online and paper productions, that are saying that the Appalachian Trail Conservancy will not be recognizing. In other words, they won't be giving out, what's kind of like a reward for finishing the AT. The little plastic tabs and things like that you used to get for, hey, I completed the trail this year. They're not doing that in 2021. And they have cited our old friend, COVID, as the reason. And we're going to get into understanding that and everything. I don't want to get too deeply into debating the right or wrong of the Appalachian Trail. What I really want to talk about is the bigger picture of, are you hiking for the baubles that you get, the cred, or are you hiking to enjoy things? And as usual, this is just an opinion piece on my part, my own opinion. For those of you who remember way back when I talked about my first introduction to the Pacific Crest Trail, I was young. I was, oh my gosh, what was I, like 13, 14 years old at a summer camp that happened to be right near the Pacific Crest Trail in this northern Sierra mountain range. And the camp let two PCT hikers stay in the staff house overnight, kind of taking a Nero or a Zero probably for them, get some reason, and they were allowed to eat in the mess hall with us campers. So they got a free meal, and then in exchange at campfire that night, we always would do songs and the staff would do little skits and stuff. Well, instead of that, we got to meet these PCT hikers, and they got to tell us all the things they had done since the Mexican border. They were northbounders, and they had started months before that at the border of Mexico. And this is about 1980, 81-ish. And then, of course, question and answer session. We got to ask them all kinds of questions. And I got to tell you, I viewed these guys as gods. It was amazing, the things that they were doing. My young brain was just like, this is incredible. And so the PCT's always been there since then in my head as this thing. And later, as I got older, I realized, there's a whole organization there. There's the PCTA that kind of helps advocate for the trail. They help do volunteer repair sessions for part of the trail, that kind of thing. They're kind of like the public liaison to the Park Service and some of those entities that actually run the trail. Hey, you. I've got a jaybird back there wanting to get on the video. But yeah, I gotta say though, it's always been a dream to at least hike parts of the Pacific Crest Trail, and I've done little parts of it and stuff like that, but to hike a good portion of the trail, if not the whole thing. And not once did it ever enter into my mind. Enter into my mind. There we go. That I would do it for the recognition of the PCTA. And I'm not dissing the PCTA. They do a great job advocating for the trail and trying to do the best they can to keep the trail as in good a shape and not as crowded as it would to damage things. They're trying to help. They're doing their best to help that trail. And the Park Service and the Forestry Service keep the trail good and stuff like that. But their recognition that I completed the trail isn't, that's kind of like a cherry on top of the sundae. The sundae's fantastic. And even without the cherry, I'm going to enjoy that sundae. But yeah, a little cherry on top, that's nice. Thank you. But if it wasn't there, it wouldn't change the thing. And that's with all my hikes. I'm not hiking for recognition, and it seems the reaction from the ATC, there are quite a few hikers out there that if it's not the thing that they're doing it for, it sure is pretty important to them that they get their recognition. I don't know, and that's the thing is for good or bad. I understand, because I'm not a free dumber and I'm not a denier. I've seen personally in friends, families, and peripheral circles out in my family the damage that COVID can do. It's not fake. 500,000 Americans are dead and millions affected by it, some of them in a permanent way. So I'm not one of the deniers who think it's a hoax and this is just overblown. And no, it's a serious thing and it should be taken seriously. So I understand organizations when they're taking these kinds of precautions. And that was the ATC's basic stance, was they are suggesting to hikers, don't go out this year. It's just not a viable thing. Don't do it. And so the ones that ignore that and do it, they felt that the recognition that they give with the little things that they hand out to folks who complete the trail would be almost rewarding them basically for completely ignoring their suggestions and doing what they want to do. So there it is. They decided that, and I get it. That there's logic there. I understand that. For the people that are freaking out about it, get on the trail anyway. Go ahead. I mean, you're going to be how you're going to be. Me personally, the ATC isn't going to tell me to keep off the trail. My brain is. And the same thing with the Pacific Crest Trail. I have my permit this year for the PCT, and I have a pretty big hike planned. But if I think things just aren't safe and it wouldn't be prudent to do the traveling that's going to be required to set up and all that kind of thing and get on the trail, then I'm not going to do it. And it doesn't matter what the PCTA says, whether they say stay off the trail or not. I'm going to make my decision based on my own safety. And really, yeah, if they say, oh, we don't think it's safe enough, but I've decided, yeah, I think it is safe enough. I think the numbers are down and I'm vaccinated, so I know I'm not going to carry it around and things like that, blah, blah, blah. I may do it anyway, and recognition from the PCTA isn't going to be on my mind. And now, keep in mind, I'm not saying the PCTA is even thinking about doing the whole non-recognition thing. They might be, since the ATC is doing it now, maybe. But they haven't said anything. I'm just saying if it goes that direction, that wouldn't be a factor for me to factor in on whether I'm going to do it or not. I'm going to do it or not depending on what I feel my safety is. And really, there it is. If you're hiking for the recognition, for the little baubles you get from the trails you do, if you're checking off a box, so to speak, here's a list of things of trails I want to get done, and I did this one, check. I did this one, check. If that's your real motivation, I don't know. What a bummer. I kind of feel bad for you. But hey, go for it. If that's your thing, fine. But I really do think most hikers, it's more than that. They're not doing it for any kind of recognition from any kind of entity or from others. Is that kind of an extra caveat, a little cherry on top? Absolutely. I think it's neat. I can proudly say, hey, I completed this trail. I did this. I hiked the Lost Coast Trail several years ago. I'm proud of that fact. It was a tough trail for me. And just an absolutely gorgeous trail. Glad I did it. And that's the reason I set on it. I heard it was a beautiful trail and it was different kind of hiking for any of the other kinds I've done. I've done some desert hiking. I've done a lot of mountain hiking, especially in the Sierras and things like that. So I hadn't done that kind of real coastal hiking, backpacking. And so that was something new for me. And that was my motivation. It wasn't, is there an organization that's going to give me a patch at the end or something like that? And so that carries over to even the bigger trails. I think the vast majority of the people, they did it for themselves and they do it for themselves. And the fact that some organization over the trail recognizes it and puts you on a list somewhere and sends you a patch or a little plastic doodad to put on your pack and things like that, that's just an extra cherry on top. It's not why people are out there. So yeah, so that's kind of my look at that. Recognition. What are you going out there on the trail for? As always, you can make comments and things down below where I post it, or as usual at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. But yeah, it just seems like that's created a real hornet's nest. That, they kind of kicked over an ant's nest there. People are all running around. Oh my God, they're not going to recognize this, not going to recognize that. And right away there was a chorus of voices. It's like, so if I do decide to do the AT, fine, I won't get a plastic thing from the ATC. It's not why I'm hiking it. I do hope that people make the wise decisions, because like I said, I get it. And even the ATC has said, one of the things that we're in there, it's not hiking the trail itself. Yeah, being out on the trail as a hiker, you're probably very safe and stuff like that. But it's traveling to the trailheads and going into these small communities that don't have a medical infrastructure and things like that. These little trail towns and stuff like that. That's where the danger lies. And for a virus that hides in us sometimes for 2 weeks before you even feel a symptom, but you're still spreading it for those 2 weeks. Or even so, if you're asymptomatic, which means you have it and you're spreading it, but you never feel a symptom. You have no idea you're even sick. It's an insidious virus, this thing. When you do feel the symptoms, more likely than not, they hit you hard. It's tough. And for a lot of people, it's fatal. But it's also a type of virus that sometimes you don't feel it at all. You have no idea you have it, and yet you're spreading it. So this is an insidious thing, and that's why I think a lot of these groups are taking these super steps, these big steps, the nuclear option, so to speak. We're just shutting everything down. Just because it's a virus that when it shows its face, it is just horrendous. The damage it does to the body, sometimes permanently, the death it creates. But then at the same time, it can just hide there and not show up at all, but spread. It's just crazy. And so, yeah, a lot of these groups use this nuclear option to just shut everything down. And so that factors into my decision, not some group saying, no, don't do it, and we won't give you this hoo-ha thing if you if you do it. Yeah, that's not going to affect my decision at all. I'm the only one who's going to affect my decision, and it's going to be based on if I feel it's really safe for me and others I may come in contact with. That will be my decision. So recognition, it's not a thing for me when I'm hiking. Is it fun? Do I like to put stuff out there? Are there people maybe out there that watch these kinds of videos? Because I know I was for a while when I was working nights and couldn't get out and hiking. I watched a lot of PCT hiker videos just because I couldn't get out there. And it was fun to just kind of vicariously live through these videos and see some of the things that they're seeing and meet some of the folks that they get to meet and stuff. And that's kind of why I put things out on YouTube myself. If there's folks out there who just can't get out there and hike, at least they can kind of, be in the hiker world a little bit. But it's not for recognition. I'm not doing it for like, ooh, so-and-so hiked this trail. Hopefully you enjoy those videos when I do get out there hiking again. Hopefully you enjoy the hike reports and, oh, that's a neat place. Maybe I'll go there myself. That kind of thing is my motivation, not recognition of, oh, check mark that one, good job. That, not really what motivates me to get out there and hike. Like I say, that's the cherry on top of the sundae. The sundae is the hike itself and enjoying it. A little cherry on top, that's cool. But if it's not there, I'll be all right. And I think a lot of hikers, are the same way. I really do. So, comments and questions, as usual. Like I said, you can get it to the usual places. Other than that, I always appreciate anybody who's watching. Thanks, all of you out there, giving the videos of you. And other than that, I'll see you next time.